Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Nadlan. We are broadcasting to you from the East Coast of New York, giving you daily updates from real estate entrepreneurs so you can become one yourself. And today we have post number 3 plus 4 plus 5 from Entrepreneur of the Week, Avishai Vermouth, about investing during COVID-19 times and the 3 most important things in real estate investments. So you better stick around and listen and learn. So who are we? Nadlan is providing real estate courses, mentoring, financing, deal analysis services, and great deal offerings. If you like our content, please give us a thumbs up and register to our channel. And let's jump into the first post. All right, guys. Today we're going to discuss about dealing with difficulties of accompanying investor during the Corona period. In the next post, I want to share with you briefly how the Corona has affected me as an investor, lender, and my overall investors. I will talk about the difficulties of management companies during this challenging period and a little about what I think will happen in the field and where we are headed. So let's start with the fact that management companies, this is without a doubt one of the most difficult and challenging periods. In our case, for example, due to restrictions on the eviction of tenants, tenants' debts to investors have accumulated to almost $200,000. In such a situation, investors do not receive fair income and management companies do not charge management fees or at least significantly lower prices. In addition, we were required to get out of the box and find creative solutions. We acted in two directions at the same time. For the tenants, we submitted every possible request for help from the state, and at the same time, we gave them help ourselves through discounts and payment schedule plans. Finally, we were able to almost completely reduce the debts of the tenants to investors, and thus we were able to get through the Corona in the best way. What happened in the market following the Corona is that the foreclosures by the banks and the authorities on the houses ceased, which led to a significant drop in supply and at the same time a significant rise in prices. In fact, there was a vacuum of transactions, and on the other hand, the demand for investors only grew. If in the period before the Corona we were closing around 10 deals a month, then in 2020, from the beginning of the crisis until recently, we went down to 2 to 4 deals a month. At the same time, the Corona has created a huge wave of new investors. All those people who lived at home and couldn't work, or business owners who found themselves unemployed one bright day, realized that they could not rely only on their sources of livelihood and that they must invest in order to generate additional income in order to reduce as much as possible their dependence on source of income. The Corona has changed the outlook of masses of people regarding investment. This change has significantly increased the demand for investment in general and real estate investment in particular. I think in terms of house prices, the market is showing signs of returning to what it was before the Corona. US Department of Health is slowly removing bank restrictions, which means many people who have not met their mortgage payments will be forced to sell their homes to the banks. It always sounds like we are crowding people who are getting off their assets and taking advantage of their dismal situation, but the opposite is true. As in practice, we are helping people who need to sell fast and get cash here and now. As soon as the situation with the banks returns to normal, interest rate will rise again. House trade in the domestic market will fail, which will lead to a drop in prices and the market will return to its normal state. It's just the forecast I'm watching, but you really do not know what will happen. I just see that every passing month there are most interesting deals compared to the period of the one before that. Also, thanks to the Corona, we are concentrating more on locating large deals of multi-family complexes. Thanks and see you in the next post. In the picture, a short story about social entrepreneurship. Speaking of Corona, I want to end this post in a positive tone and share with you an amazing experience I had thanks to Corona, an experience I will never forget. It was Saturday during the first closure that we had all been locked in houses for a long time, and I told my wife I wanted to play on the roof for the whole neighborhood. I went to the roof with the guitar, amplifier, and stupid head. I started playing, and after 5 minutes, the neighborhoods in the building around was heard from their houses. Everyone went up to the roofs, and there was a pretty party where everyone sang and danced. After both the media and the police arrived, I realized that I was heard not only in that neighborhood, right in the middle of the city, but in other neighborhoods as well. The cops realized this was a special event and let me continue a few more passages. All right, you can see here. Beautiful. All right, so let's take a short break and move into the next. When are you interested in meeting with the money? What level of confidence or risk are you willing to take? These are other questions are very important part that any investment process must start from. Once the needs have been clarified, it is important to find your right partners for the road and make sure that, God forbid, it is not a scam. To this day, I hear delusional stories about investors paying themselves the rent from the purchase price, or those who bought in an area they are already willing to pay, just to get rid of the property because they are just losing out on it. It is very important to check very well who is the company that accompanies you in the investment, the local partners, and the entrepreneurs in the field. It is important to ask for a list of recommendations and examine their investment portfolio and performance. The next important thing that will give you confidence so that you can sleep well at night is what I call the Holy Trinity: locating, renovating, and managing. Once you have this Holy Trinity, you are on the King's Road, and I want to elaborate. Number one, locating the property. A good investment is considered in the purchase price. It is advisable to purchase at a price significantly lower than the market price area. It is advisable to purchase in a developing area that is expected to have price increases. But on the other hand, be careful not to enter neighborhood or areas which has too low economic level. What I really like about investing in the US is that everything is exposed to the investor and in a simple research walk, which takes no more than an hour. You can cross-reference data from some reputable sites and see if the information you get about the property and the area is correct. Regulation. It is advisable to purchase in a state where the law and regulation are stable and to seek the help of a legal entity or attorney who will accompany you in the purchase until the property is registered in your name religiously and lawfully. It is also very important that the law supports the property owners more than the tenants. Property locating in a ward in itself, and there are of course many other parameters to consider, but which in my opinion are the most important. Number two, renovation. Renovation of the property. Work with a renovation company with extensive experience and financial strength. This way you will make sure that the renovation will be of high quality, will last for a long time, and that there will be no follow-ups. It is also important that the quote you receive is fair, both in terms of price and in terms of the burden you will unnecessary renovation work behind what is required for your needs. Our goal the investors is on the one hand to save as much as possible on the renovation cost, and on the other hand to bring the house to a level of renovation that the first tenant who comes to see will want to sign the lease. A basic renovation of a house in order to bring it to a condition that is fit for habitation and in order for it to pass inspection by the authorities is called rent ready. I like the remodeling companies that at more or less the same prices will also do some cosmetics and small additions so that the house will be more inviting in order to be rented out quickly. Number 3, management. This is a painful issue as it is very difficult to find good management companies in the US, while property management is an important and even crucial step in a real estate investment that can make a good investment. Worse and vice versa. For the matter, if you have found exactly the property you're looking for with investment data that is a dream and you are in doubt about your management company, you should think twice or look for a management company that will give you peace and security. I say again, unfortunately, there are a few of these, but there are some of those. Most management companies charge between 8 to 10% of the monthly rent rate received from the tenant. It is advisable to find a quality and reliable management company that will be there for you, even if it involves paying the higher rate of 10% and in return you get from them proper management of your property. Do not hesitate. The same management company that charges 8% can sometimes charge you $200 for repairing a faucet whose repair cost should not exceed $70 in the worst case. A good management company will get into the picture towards the end of the renovation of your property and publish the property for rent. Finding a suitable dealer is a task that needs to be done carefully, since due to this period you do not want to put in a problematic dealer who will not meet the payments. For this purpose, the management company is required to do all possible checks about the tenant before entering the property. This can be done by checking a bank record, account sheets, pay slips, recommendation from the employer, and more. Also, of course, the tenant must be required to pay a deposit equal to 1 to 2 months. After the tenant enters the property, the management company will manage the property on a regular basis and will be in continuous contact with the property owner or the investor, issuing them monthly reports and contacting them if any update is needed regarding the property. The management company is your feet in the field and should be available to you and give you an answer and an account of everything that happens in the property and in the ongoing contact with the tenant. I promised one leg and short, so I will finish at this point. This is an endless subject and every day I learn new things, and it is another one of the things I love in this field. The photos and the videos, which in the end not to be missed, are of a completely burnt house that we located for an investor who bought it for a few $1,000s and after a massive renovation raised its value much, and the property was rented at a price that embodies for the investor a nice current return. All right, so we can see this burned house. And how beautiful it is after the renovation. All right, looks beautiful. All right, so let's move to the last post of today. Jumping into the water. I would like to dedicate this post to the newer entrepreneurs and investors who have not yet taken the first step and share the biggest difficulty I have encountered myself as a beginning investor that I've encountered to this day in beginning investing in land. The difficulty that later became the reason why I see accompanying investor as no less than a mission. I'm talking about the difficulty of jumping into the water and making the move at the exit for the first investment. Every investor has their own character and style, and everyone has to go through their own special way before they decide to go out and invest their money. Sometimes we laugh at how insane it is in everything, but in every investment, there will necessarily always be a risk. Even in investment where you fund in guaranteed 100%, or at least that's what you are told, or that's what you tell yourself, there will always be the alternative risk. Because even if you did not lose or you earned only 3 to 4% return on investment, certainly there is always the risk that you have lost the difference from another investment that could perhaps have yielded you 7 to 8% return or more. Bottom line, there's no end, and sometimes these thoughts and fears can be deterrent for an investor, and I think it's a shame. It is very important to remember that in our reality today, not risking our money, it is the most dangerous. It should be taken into account that we have all made mistakes and more will be done, and there is no way to avoid it. And it is great that mistakes are an integral part of the road. And when you set out, as Dr. Zeus says, you come to wonderful places. But for the one must set out, and that is greatest difficulty. To set out is not to speak, but to do, and in this many of us, including me, are not as strong as in speech. I, of course, do not put myself aside. I totally agree with the equation, but the slightly older investor here will agree with me that there is no more satisfying feeling than the feeling of after the jump into the water. Even if the water is a little cold at first, the satisfaction is immense, and the door that until that moment was locked, now it is already open, and then everything is just happening. And even if you fall, then you get up strengthened because you are learning. So my message in this post for you is that it is very important to clarify needs and then check, investigate, not go blind after anyone, and be careful before investing. But no less important, at some point, after lowering your boat into the water, paddling and lifting the sails with the wind, give the spirit to job faithfully and take your boat to a safe shore. Of course, it is important to be optimistic and believe, and if necessary, respond and change direction without stress and without drama. It is very important that you attack yourself with positive people, that you attract yourself with positive people, and not with those who only blacken and sow fears. You need to know who to listen to and when, and also sometimes know who to listen to less and who to filter, so that you can listen to the sounds of the heart, understand what is right for you, and remember that it is always most important to get up and do. So if you need a little push from me professionally, I will always be happy to be the one to give it to you. In the video, an exciting documentation of my favorite investor taking the first step and jumping into the water for the first time. You can see Avishai putting the dog in the water, jumping for the first time. All right, guys. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today. And if you like to also become a successful real estate entrepreneur, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And we will see you here next week. Enjoy your weekend, guys.